It appeared to be an impenetrable wall. But perhaps he could make something of this hill. He scrambled and struggled and scrambled some more. He was gaining some altitude, but he did not know for how long he could keep this up. He may be a Khajiit, but he is no great climber. However, it looked like he was making progress. Just a few more scrambles and bounds. He would be away. But now he would not be, for forces unseen prevented him from getting any further, and as such, he just had no bloody idea what to do. And so I'm going to stop reading this book until I can figure it out. After fighting through hordes of Forsworn, Pix and Pooks made it to the supposed location of the next fragment, Dead Crone Rock. There may yet be more Forsworn inside, but he was ready for them. He was ready for them all. Urn, which did not look like it belonged in the tower. It looked like it had been plundered from some kind of tomb. But loot from any source was fine with the dragonborn. He saw someone sitting in the distance.
What was that?
Prepared himself for an attack. It was not much of a fight. Hopefully he could find the fragment soon and be done with it. He'd killed so many Forsworn in his time. At this point it could be considered genocide. Their spellcasters pack quite a wallop, but he was confident that he could cut him down. Pix and Pooks would never truly know what a fine thing he would make, but he had his suspicions. And so up the tower he crept. It looked like it was built directly into the underside of a tunnel. Most unusual. The decorations here were decidedly Forsworn. He wondered how many more of them pottered through the building right this very moment, ready to have their bones crushed into dust. There was a time when a fight would send a rush of adrenaline through Pix and Pooks. Now, it seemed as ordinary as breathing. He had fought so hard and for so long. It was nice to have a book to read while doing it. Pulled a lever. To what end he was not quite sure. Perhaps a gate downstairs had loosened. Those soul gem traps seemed somewhat beyond the Forsworn. Perhaps they had appropriated this tower from someone else. I'm terribly sorry. My diction fails when trying to read a book in such old, draconic tongue. He jimmied loose a door, and within that door was another tunnel, and at the bottom of that tunnel was another door. apparently leading outside. Pix and Pooks peeked. It seemed that meager treasure was the only reason to be there, and so back he went. Mehrunes' razor must be somewhere. That is a tautology, obviously. But more specifically, he felt it must be somewhere close. He recognized himself as being back where he started. And that was no good to anyone. He felt somewhat confused, somewhat befuddled and bemuddled. But he would find his way again before long, he always did. This looked like the very way he was hoping for, and the doors slipped open. The air outside was bitter cold, wet and drizzly, but he felt the presence of the fragment nearby. He only wondered what would stand in his way. A hag raven, it seemed. Could this be the titular crone? Whoever she was now nothing more than a crumpled heap. The pommel stone of Mehrunes' razor belonged to him. But there was more loot yet to be plundered from this place, as well as a new word. Pix and Pooks. Pix and Pooks was so frequently learning new words in the draconic tongue. Perhaps one day he would be able to communicate with Odahviing in his own language. And what a spectacle that would be. Well, he had gotten what he came for. Now it was time to return back to Marcotte. There he would rest before setting off for the final fragment. He owned a home in Marcotte. Rindrel Hall, it was known. He liked Marcotte, not the area. He did not like the Reach at all. But Marcotte on its own was a pretty town.
These vampires are becoming a real menace.
Pretty, yet rotten to the core. The dragonborn had experienced much filth in this place, had gotten involved in much himself. Rindrel Hall was really little more than a pretty stop-off point. Despite its pleasing aesthetics, he could never call it home in his heart. Decided to fill his chest with junk from recent escapades. And once that was done with, why, he slept, of course. It was early morning when finally he rested. He awoke around noon. His day-night schedule was really starting to slip. These books really do have a lot of padding. Why they don't just discuss the adventures at hand, I'm not sure. I didn't write it. Or maybe I did. We all know that there's no book, and I'm just commenting in a weird way. But such is life. And laughter. And love. And the rage of a beast. Do you understand? Do you understand that I am just saying random, ridiculous things in the hopes that you won't notice how much ridiculously off-topic shit is going on in this video? Do you understand that? Part of me hopes you do. Anyway, with his ablutions over with, Pix and Pooks prepared to depart Marcotte in search of, oh me, oh my, oh may, the final piece. Oh yes, the final, very final of the 3 fragments of the dagger that would fetch a reasonably okay price to this curator. There have been more exciting reasons to go on Daedric quests. Vigilance. He was a good dog, but he could never quite seem to get off the ground. Onto his horse he hopped, ready to delve all the way to Cracked Tusk Keep. And so he travelled, he travelled, he travelled, he travelled, and travelled some more. Few people truly appreciate how much travelling is involved in being an adventurer. But his travels were almost over, for the final fragment rested not too far from the hallowed sanctuary of that most sinister assassination cult, the Dark Brotherhood, of which it has been rumoured the dragonborn was a secret member. But these are facts muddled in time. Who's to say what the real truth is? He arrived at Cracked Tusk Keep before long. The orcs were not impressed by this.
You picked a bad time to get lost, friend.
Unfortunately, they knew not who they were dealing with. Didn't even take the 2 swings Pix and Pooks had reserved for his foe. They felt like plasticine against the edge of his mace. By this point in his life, the Dragonborn was truly a force of awesome power. And into the keep he delved. He decided that despite his incredible power, he would keep up formalities
What was that?
and sneak. It didn't last long, though. But what our Dragonborn lacked in stealth, he made up for in the ability to just whack and whack and whack until the job was done.